Many students ask me in person and in the comments of these videos, how many words should I memorize? Or how many words can I memorize per day? Or they might ask me, what's the best way to create a word list and what resources shall I use? So even though I've done some videos touching on how to memorize vocabulary and many videos where you can test your vocabulary against me, this video is about answering those questions. First, how many new words can you learn? Well, obviously that depends on how close the test is, but what you can do is aim to do 40 to 50 new words every other day. Why do I say every other day? Because there's only so much the brain can take, and obviously some of your days you'll be more busy at school or at work. You might not have a free evening, and on other days or weekends you will have a free evening. So it's not realistic to say to cram every single day, but I think every other day is realistic, and I think 40 to 50 new words is realistic. And here's the most important thing. I don't necessarily count a new word as being a word you've never heard before in the English language. That's quite hard to learn. You will be learning a lot of those, but more often you'll be consolidating words that you've just about heard of before. Like maybe you knew that abhorrent was something bad and it sounds something bad, but after using the following tips I'm going to give you about creating a word list, I want you to know what the word means in detail, its first definition and even its secondary definition. And that to me counts as properly having learnt the new word. So if we learn 40 to 50 new words every other day, you'll be looking at something approaching 200 new words per week. Of course, if your exam's in a week, you can up this to 60 to 80 new words per day, every single day. And this goes back to my central proposition, which is that any student, even one with an advanced vocabulary like I had before I even studied, can add on 1,000 to 3,000 new words before they sit the test, whether they only have a couple weeks or a few months before the test. 1,000 to 3,000 words is the sweet spot where you're really maximizing your new vocabulary without just getting fatigued with the whole process. Once you get to about 3,000 words, you'll be beginning to forget some of the older ones that you've looked at, even if you have a wonderful word list like I'm about to show you. So 3,000 new words is about the maximum, but that would be a huge addition to your vocabulary for the GRE test and for the rest of your life. Okay, so that's the target and the timeline. But how do we actually go about creating a wonderful word list that we can actually use and rely upon rather than just write and then never look at again? That's what I'm about to show you. Even better, I'm going to show you a website that can help transform your approach to memorizing vocabulary based on some tips I did in an earlier video. And I'm not affiliated with this website, I'm just telling you so that you can thank me if it helps you. The website is mnemonicdictionary.com, and we're going to see how to use that to create a wonderful, perfect GRE word list. Let's take a look at that now. Here is an example of a typical word list created by a student. On the left, you've got the difficult words that they didn't know, and on the right, you've just got a definition. This word list came from majortest.com, as you can see. But I think a student who just had this list wouldn't necessarily remember all the words and the meanings on the list, certainly not well enough to get them right on the exam. So what can we do to create the perfect GRE word list? Now, I gave a hint about this in one of my first videos where I talked about how to memorize vocabulary, and I suggested looking up the etymology or the origin of the words that you're researching. But I also talked about using mnemonics. We're going to go into more detail on that using the amazing website mnemonicdictionary.com, which, as I say, I am not affiliated with. They have a GRE word list which has thousands of GRE words and the best way to remember them. What do I mean the best way to remember them? And what is a mnemonic? As you can see here, a mnemonic is a memory aid to help you remember a word. Take the word abase, which means to lower or degrade someone or something, to humiliate, to make humble. But how would we remember that? Well, to abase someone is to bring someone down back to a base level. Back to the base level, you're bringing them down. So that is a great way of remembering the meaning of the word abase. I'm going to demonstrate how to complete my word list using some of the words that you can see here. For example, bellicose. That means warlike or aggressive. Even if you half knew that and you knew bellicose was some sort of negative word but you weren't quite sure what it meant, what could we do? Well, we'd go to mnemonicdictionary.com and then we would search in the top right, bellicose, and up comes bellicose. We've got the definition, having or showing a ready disposition to fight, being ready for war basically, and then we'd look at these suggested ways of remembering it and we'd see which one helps us the most to remember it. This one on the left looks quite interesting to me, quite funny even. Sumos have huge bellies and they are wrestlers that want to fight. So to be bellicose is to have a belly like a sumo wrestler and be ready to fight. Once you'd picked one of the memory aids that you like the most, you could then type it up. So bellicose is like belly, sumo, kose. Ready to fight like a sumo wrestler. And now we have a very realistic way of remembering that word. I don't think you're going to forget that. Let's pick another couple of words to really demonstrate what I'm talking about. Gregarious. It's no use just writing the definition, knowing that gregarious means extroverted or sociable, because that's quite easy to forget. There's nothing in the word gregarious that necessarily helps you remember its meaning. So, we can invent one ourselves, or we can search gregarious, if you can't think of one, and see what they say. Here we go. Gregarious, which means tending to form a group, or seeking or enjoying the company of others, as we talked about. Aggregation means gathering together, being sociable. If you knew that, that would be a great way of memorizing what gregarious means. Someone who likes to be part of an aggregation, part of a gathering, a social gathering. So we'd go back to our word list. Someone who likes to be part of an aggregation makes them gregarious. I would also add to that and say that maybe Greg is a very social person and therefore he's gregarious. Okay. Then we can move on to another word. Which one of these looks hard to remember? Recuperate. Recuperate. That means to get better after an illness. Maybe you half knew that and half didn't know that, but what are we going to do to help us really solidify that? We're not just going to write down the definition. We're going to go to mnemonicdictionary.com or think of it ourselves. That's one option, but if you can't think of a way to memorize that recuperate means to get better after illness, you could go here and type it in. The last part sounds like operate, so after the operation the patient recovers. That's quite a good one. Recuperate sounds a bit like to recover from an operation. Recuperate is to recover from an operation. To get better after an illness, to recuperate, to recover after an operation. Now looking at this, you may say to me, oh well that takes at least 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute per word. But if our target is 40 to 50 words a day, that's only adding on half an hour a day. And half an hour per study day isn't that much to expand your English vocabulary by 1,000 to 2,000 words before the test. Even if that only improves your score by 4 to 5 points in the verbal section, that can make a huge difference. And don't forget, these are words that you can use for the rest of your life to sound really educated and also just to make your point in a smarter, more concise and impressive way. Now I will add a link in the description to both mnemonicdictionary.com and majortest.com, and these are two resources that you can use before your test that really help. and I've used them as well. Even if you know most of the words, you can still aim for 40 to 50 new words per day. Just keep scrolling through their GRE word list and copy and paste the words you don't know or the words you're not 100% sure on. Add the mnemonic, and there we go. That's one new word in the bag. Let me know how it goes. As always, thank you for watching, and please do let me know if this helped in any way and if you'd like me to make more videos on the topic of vocabulary. I love making these and I love reading the comments. Can't wait to read them. Have a wonderful day.